You don't need children to be happy. But I've come to realize that it's difficult in the long term, meaningfully and positively, to be happy without raising a child. And I think this is because I think it's mainly about the confusion of pleasure with happiness. Because outside of kind of the natural flow of life and doing what you're born to do and struggling with that great and beautiful problem, there are other ways to be happy, obviously. But if you break down what they are, I would say they amount to two things. And one is just pure power. And this is the main way to be happy, is just acquire power. And I don't think it's real happiness for most people, because you have to be a little bit psychopathic to be made genuinely happy by pure power. But people think that just because they're pursuing pleasure, they're not pursuing power. But you need power to experience pleasure. And it's pure materialism, right? Like, if your happiness trip is just to load up as much pleasure as you can and hide from as much pain as possible, that's about as materially reductive a formula for happiness as you can have. And it requires power. It doesn't matter how softly you use it, it's about raw material power. And I would say in the long run, that won't make many people happy, unless they're kind of psychopathic leaning. No disrespect to psychopaths. We need our psychopaths at some level. Everything has its place under the sun. But I'm just trying to be honest about what's what. So, okay, so if you want to be happy, but you don't want children, and you don't want to just pursue power, how do you get happiness? Well, you probably already know. You have to sublimate. I mean, this is how civilization happened. You need to sublimate the child-rearing instinct, the sexual instinct, creatively. And you can do that by writing, by drawing. You do it in the arts. You can do it technically in engineering. Scientists do it. You might be pursuing great discoveries. I guess you could even do it in the realm of politics, in the realm of theory. I feel like that tends to steer into the ugliness of power, but let's be generous. So these are the positive ways that you can be happy, meaningfully happy, by creating something, by putting down real roots in the world and growing something greater than yourself, by sacrificing for a greater good. You can see how it's sublimation, right? How it's taking the energetic field of what makes a good parent and transposing it to another realm. But if we're honest, this takes real genius, and not just genius, it takes discipline and work and luck. And really, the castle is small and the moat is vast. Most people who are pursuing this in their heads and are consciously avoiding children will end up slaves to power or pleasure. This is just my opinion, but it seems like facts and logic to me. And I'm not trying to imply that I'm a great good man or anything. Like, I stumbled into parenthood. Like I have some inkling of how I won what I won. And my son isn't here to save me or rescue me. Like, I'm just lucky that he has, by virtue of his being and my capacity to surrender to that. Because there is not a light or a mirror in the universe that shines as brightly as he. And I understand now why women, through countless millennia of this sexual specialization, have developed the kind of intuitive emotional faculties they have, if I may generalize. But for men to sort of say, oh, this is just women's stuff, it's only women who need children. It's like, don't kid yourself, brother. It's true that men um, are more satisfied with abstraction and abstract work and abstract achievement. Like, for real, that's a fact. And it's true that although women talk more than men take words more seriously. A man's word is his bond, as the saying goes. But you just need to look around at all the lost edgelords chattering away online, the critiques of feminists of mansplaining. There is this deep need in men to be heard. It's like maybe the divine feminine is creative and performing, but the divine masculine is an active principle. I guess creation is an active principle too. It's so sketchy getting into gender, but there's something really here. Because men want to be heard in a way women don't. And I think it's just because they just make life from their bodies. They know deep down God's a woman. Men somehow are like, I don't know. I'm on a bit of a side note here, but Freud's whole theory of penis envy always struck me as ridiculous. Womb envy, on the other hand, like, it's like men give their children their names. Like, women don't do that. Like, men are so interested in status and fame and immortality and culture. It's like, but once you have a child, that really relaxes. It takes the edge off this endless need, and that talking thing, that desire to be heard. Once you've got a child, it's like that sucks out so much of the restless kind of like, what am I here for? What am I doing? It's like, I know I had a bit of a gender ramble there, but I'm just trying to say that, man, children are not just for women. They're not just for women. Like, there's no, I don't want to be conceited, but I get now why parents at some level don't take non-parents seriously. It's like, if you haven't done the thing you're born to do, or you haven't created something with genius and truly sublimated it, how can I take you seriously? Like, as a divine agent? I mean, I can, but it really depends what you're claiming. Anyway, this has been quite a ramble, and I can't help making everything intellectual. It's just my disease. But my son is the greatest antidote to that. I'll never forget when he asked me, what something meant, and I told him succinctly, and he said, "Oh, that wasn't a long story." There's still a lot for me to learn from that.